show you how to make the fan favorite, everyday, all the time, everywhere, raw cashew cheese recipe that we use most frequently at Superfresh. There are so many versions of vegan cheeses, whether they end up being cooked or stay raw. But this is the one that we put on our pizzas, burritos, inside quesadillas, sandwiches, as a dressing on the side. So this one comes out kind of like those like drizzly quesos. It's a white cheese, but you could color it if you want, and I'm gonna show you how. So we're gonna, in any blender you want, I'm using a Vitamix. You could use anything you've got. We're gonna throw in 2 cups of cashews, of raw cashew pieces, because if you're buying whole cashews, you're paying it's usually like double what you pay for organic raw cashew pieces, because we don't need them whole. We're gonna turn them into a yummy sauce. When you have time, and if you don't have a high-speed blender, soaking your nuts for at least 2 hours or overnight is extremely beneficial. It's much better nutrition-wise. So for me, because I didn't soak them, I'm losing out on that. But also your blender just isn't gonna be able to handle them as well. Luckily, cashews are pretty soft, so my Vitamix can handle it as a high-speed blender. We're gonna do 2 cups of raw cashew pieces. Approximate. Y 2 cups. And let's see, if you were soaking them, you would strain out the water and discard the water it was soaked in. We're gonna throw in 1.5 cups of filtered water. You can use tap water or spring water, but I like to make sure it's as clean as possible. We're going to do 1/2 teaspoon of, I like using Himalayan salt, but you can use kosher, you can use real, you can use, whatever. I probably wouldn't use black salt. I love using black salt, but not for this. It has a very sulfur taste and is great to make like vegan egg things because it adds that flavor. We're gonna throw in 1 tablespoon of lemon juice. And ¿qué más? Nutritional yeast. We're gonna put in 1/2 tablespoon, but it can be like a heaping 1/2 tablespoon of nutritional yeast. You can always add more if you want it more cheesy. And then we're just gonna blend it right up until it's super silky smooth. We don't want it like a ricotta texture, which can happen with the cashews. It can stay a little gritty, so we don't want that, unless you do. You do you. Okay, that looks nice and creamy. Yeah. Okay. And then we're gonna put it in a container that you can store it in the fridge. If you have a squeeze bottle, which is fun to have, but most people probably don't have that at home, you can do that and drizzle it on things. So we're just going to store our raw cashew cheese in any food grade container that you can seal. I love reusing these guys. And as I toss kitchen tools. Rubber spatula is probably one of my favorite kitchen tools because I don't like food waste. So I like to get as much as I can. I don't like to leave like a 1/2 ounce in there. I'll leave a little bit if I can't get it. But the rubber spatula helps tremendously. We're just gonna get as much as we can. And that made about 3 cups, which is awesome. This stuff is crackalicious, which I probably shouldn't say. The stuff is really good. Sorry to offend anyone. I'm gonna put a lid on that. And I like to keep a Sharpie in my kitchen. Masking tape is great, but a Sharpie will work too. And I'm just gonna put raw cashew cheese. And I'm gonna put today's date on it because that way you know that when you made it, how long it's been sitting in your fridge. And sadly, this raw cashew cheese does not last that long in the fridge. It does need to be refrigerated, but it only lasts maybe 3 or 4 days. You can freeze it though, so you could freeze half of it. When I freeze it, I don't really like using the defrosted cashew cheese on fresh things. Like, I'm not gonna put it as a drizzle on tacos or nachos, but I will put it in sandwiches, I'll put it on pizza, I'll bake it in things. But you saw how liquidy that was, right? As I was pouring it, it's like super, like, it's very drizzly. Drizzleable. Drizzleable? We'll make that a word. It has the ability to drizzle well. And we're just gonna store that in the fridge, drizzle it on everything, on anything, dip things in it. I love dipping quesadillas in it. I love putting this as like a little topping on like butternut squash soup, or kind of like in place of sour cream or something. Different consistency, but similar feel. I love like topping my dal makhani, like Indian dishes with it, where you might otherwise be using yogurt but if you're dairy free, great option, as long as you're not allergic to nuts. So enjoy.